et bienvenue à Le Français avec KJ. Hi, I'm KJ and I'll be your host today. Today we are going to continue along on our series, which is underway, and we are on episode number 3, La Belle Dame. So let's remind ourselves of our goal. Our goal today is to write 100 words to use the Passé, Composé, and the Imparfait to tell a complete segment of our story and to use as many other verb conjugations as we can to demonstrate that we are using French language proficiently. All right, so let's review our characters. First, we have Charline, who is a serious student who is trying to finish her studies without any drama. Elle est sérieuse, indépendante, discrète et seule. She seems a little lonely. She's away from her friends and family to attend university. Elle veut finir ses études sans histoire. Remember, sans histoire is the way you say without drama in French. Needs a companion, and she discovers Arthur. Arthur est sérieux, discret, patient, et mystérieux. Okay, so he's a bit of a character. He's a serious student, but il est ambitieux, mais il n'a pas beaucoup d'argent. So he's got ambition, but he doesn't have a lot of money. So he has to work, which makes him seem a little more mysterious than he really is, because he's just not around as much. Then we have a companion for Charline, that is Najat. Najat est curieuse, discrète, aimable, positive et bonne amie. Elle veut protéger et soutenir son ami. So she's a good friend. She's, naturally curious, but she just wants to be supportive and helpful. All right, this is our new character. Her name is Hélène, and the only thing we know about her is that she is très belle, jeune et gentille. Elle veut visiter Paris. Her one goal is to visit France, to visit Paris. All right. So let's get started on our rough draft. Remember, we left Charlene off at the end of the day. Her two friends wanted to know everything she could tell them about Arthur, but she'd only just met him at the elevator and he'd just given her a lift to school. So there really wasn't a lot to tell. Le lendemain matin, Charline s'est levée à l'heure et a mis une jolie tenue bleue. Elle chantait en préparant son cartable pour les cours. So she's in a good mood and she's a little dressed up today. Elle a laissé passer 2 ascenseurs vides, mais elle n'a pas vu Arthur. So she is waiting for Arthur maybe a little. Quand elle est descendue, elle a remarqué Arthur avec une belle femme. Ils se parlaient devant l'immeuble. Charline était découragée. Ils sont tout de suite montés dans la voiture d'Arthur et ils sont partis. Déçue, Charline est montée dans le bus. En tout cas, elle s'est dit, elle n'avait pas le droit de rêver. Aujourd'hui, elle a dit à Najat, il m'a rendu service. Okay, so she gets on the bus and she's like kind of beating herself up for like being hopeful, just kind of sad. And she tells her friend Najat, of course, who she phones as soon as this happens, that he's done her a favor. Now, why would she say that? I think that might have something to do with the fact that she doesn't want any drama. All right, so let's look at this story. Le lendemain matin, le lendemain matin, Charline s'est levée à l'heure et a mis une jolie tenue bleue. Now, a jolie tenue bleue is the blue outfit, and your word for outlet. Some people will tell you, "Oh, it's your look." No, on ne dit pas. On peut le dire. Il a un bon look aujourd'hui, mais le tenue is the actual vêtement, the clothes. Okay, the outfit that you are wearing, l'ensemble. Sometimes you'll hear people, très joli ensemble aujourd'hui. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay. Elle chantait en préparant son cartable pour les cours. Now, here's the thing. We've used a passé composé to get her up because that is completed action in the past. Also unusual for her, but that has nothing to do with the conjugation. And we have a passé composé here, again, completed action in the past. And chanter, now we have an imperfect. And why did we put an imperfect for her preparing her cartable? Parce que it's what she was doing whilst she was preparing her cartable. It's not that she prepared it and she was done. Elle chantait en préparant son cartable pour les cours. So while she was singing, she was doing something. She was preparing her book bag. Now, notice the use of this gerund here, en préparant. Okay, and the way that you make this to say while she was preparing, you would use the present participle and this on. And if you're not sure how that works, I have a video on that topic and I will link it to this video. So, in our developing of the story, we said, elle a laissé passer deux ascenseurs vides, mais elle n'a pas vu Arthur. In this particular section, you'll notice that it seems like there are three verbs in a row, but there aren't. There's just two. Remember, the passé composé is one verb with two parts. So this is one verb, and that's the other verb. So this passé composé is operating kind of like an auxiliary for this one. Okay, but so that's the key to this. That remember that sometimes you can have a helper verb that has two parts to it, and it will seem like there's three verbs in a row, but there's really only two. So elle a laissé passer deux ascenseurs, mais elle n'a pas vu Arthur. And these are two passé composés. And that's the other thing that you need to realize here is that these are two passé composés and they're completed actions in the past. Yes, we did talk about the use of that infinitive. All right. Quand elle est descendue, elle a remarqué Arthur avec une belle femme. This is an interesting sentence, and the reason for this is because these are both completed actions in the past. And I've had students ask me, well, why isn't remarquer in the imperfect? Because Arthur and the belle femme were there before she got there. And the reason why is because this verb goes to Charline, and it's what Charline did. And these two things are simultaneous things that Charline did. Elle est descendue, et quand elle est descendue, elle a remarqué Arthur. So two simultaneous actions completed in the past. Next, ils se parlaient devant l'immeuble. So they're speaking in front of the building now is in the imperfect because this is something that they were doing. This verb refers to them. This is what they were doing before she got there. And they're still doing it while she's watching them. So, this contrasting the use of the passé composé with the imparfait and understanding simultaneous causal actions is important to this particular segment of the story because you need to understand what can be in the passé composé and what must be in the imperfect. So let's deepen this intrigue a little bit. Ils sont tout de suite montés dans la voiture d'Arthur et ils sont partis. Now, here's the thing. I want to mention this. Oh, Charline était découragée. So, yeah, she was sad. But notice here, which is where I want to take us, this tout de suite. Tout de suite could have gone in the beginning of this sentence. Could have been tout de suite, ils sont montés dans la voiture d'Arthur et ils sont partis. But to give it a little stress, put it where most adverbs go. Most of the time, you put an adverb after the conjugated verb or the conjugated part of a verb. Now, this is a passé composé with two parts with an adverb, a compound or complex adverb in between it. Now, generally, when I teach the passé composé, I say you can't split the passé composé except with the negation. So, ne sont pas. Monter would be the negation, right? But you can split it to put in an adverb. Okay. So always remember that adverbs generally follow conjugated verbs. If you do that, you can't go wrong. So Charline était découragée. Here we have an imperfect that describes her mental state. Remember, mental states, anything you do with your brain, except decide, generally in the imperfect. Okay, now let's wrap this up. Déçue, Charline est montée dans le bus. En tout cas, elle s'est dit, elle n'avait pas le droit de rêver. All right, so here we have a completed action in the past, and it's also a verb of movement, so conjugated with être and with agreement. Et en tout cas, nevertheless, in whatever, elle s'est dit, elle n'avait pas le droit de rêver. This not having the right to dream, because, I mean, after all, she only just met this guy, is in the imperfect because it's an ongoing situation that, doesn't have a beginning, doesn't have an end that we know of. Okay. Aujourd'hui, elle a dit à Najat, il m'a rendu service. So, to rendre service à quelqu'un is the way that you say to do a favor for somebody. Parfois, il y a des gens qui disent, oh, tu peux me faire un plaisir? Okay, can you do something for me? Or I think that's generally the one. But rendre service is the most common way of saying, can you do me a favor? So she says, today he did me a favor. And what she's meaning by that, maybe, we don't know, but I think, is that she doesn't want any drama. So having only just met this guy, on the phone with her friend Najat, what else is she going to say? She's going to say, look, this is a good thing. Just looking on the bright sides. Okay, so we've talked about the use of the imperfect here. I think n'avait pas le droit de rêver is also, we could use that as a way to basically describe her, what her mental state should have been. But I think it's better to just say it's an ongoing condition here. All right, so you can rewind and watch this video as many times as you would like to learn this material. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section. I will definitely respond. I do read the comments. Try to write a short story with me. I would love it if you would do that. Also, you can put any part of that story that you want in the comments. If you have any questions about something that you're writing, please comment, and I will read them and get right back to you. Don't hesitate. We'll have the next sequence of the story soon. But until then, I would like to thank my photographers at Pexel and Unsplash. Thank you so much for, just doing what you do and making things like this possible. And if you have learned anything from this video, or if you just enjoy watching me put these stories together, please hit like and subscribe because it helps us get this video out there to students who may be also struggling with this material. Um, I've enjoyed doing this and I thank you so much for watching. Until the next time, a bientôt.